Welcome to the Deep Sleep Trilogy. Deep Sleep, Deeper Sleep, and Deepest Sleep are a trilogy of games made by the developer known as Script Welder. Deep Sleep, released on October 3rd, 2012, is a point-and-click horror game where you take control of a man named Nathan Harvez as he ventures deep into the dream world. The game starts off with the quote, "If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you." And after that, the game starts. When the game starts, you're put into a small bedroom. Nothing really out of the ordinary, but the moment you open a dresser up nearby, that's when the room changes. Yeah, don't mind me clicking every single thing. It's been a while since I played this game. The moment you pick up the blue box, the world around you changes and reality slips as everything turns to dust. You're not in a normal place anymore, and you are given an uneasy feeling. The next room sends you into a location with 3 paths. Unknowing where to go, most people head north. Down the hall is a staircase that leads you into a room with a telephone and a flashlight. A flashlight with no batteries. This is not the first weird event to occur in the game, but this is not the last either. As you head into the previous area, you can enter through the other path, but sadly it's blocked off by a cracked wall. Maybe you can get there later. Heading downstairs puts you into an odd room with a bell I might have clicked too many times. A note reads, "I'm sure this note gets you somehow. At this point, you should know all this is not real. I hope the inner awakening went well, and you have full, lucid control over the dream." And it says, "Sincerely yourself." Heading into the next room gives you a rag and a furnace you can barely see. I kid you not, I got stuck here for probably 5 minutes. It's been a while since I played, and I forgot a lot of stuff. For the sake of your sanity and my own, I will be skipping the part where I got stuck. When I got to this part, I stared directly at the item that I needed to get, but sadly I did not figure it out. I am not a god gamer, I'm sorry. And of course, I stare down the exact item I need once again, not realizing that I needed it. Still here, still stuck. Man. Third time's gotta be the charm, right? No, not at all. Not even close. Sometimes I wonder just how I finish any game. Oh god. After close to 6, 7, 8 minutes, I finally, definitely figured it out on my own. Once you put in the bone in a lever system that I could not see at all, you're able to turn off the furnace so you can then use the damn cloth and get inside of it. Inside is a small key and a code for something. If you leave and go up the stairs and head to the area with the talking phone, you can use this gray key on the drawer to get batteries for your flashlight. After obtaining the flashlight with the batteries, you can finally enter the dark room that you couldn't originally see in. Writing on the wall tells you to wake up. Upon entering the next room, you can enter a dark room with a jump scare that I didn't get scared by. Writing on the wall says little Cody is lost without his plushy tiger, something that might be useful later, or elsewhere. In the next room is a long hallway to what seems like the outside world, with a secret door to your left. On the walls of the secret room, there are notes that sort of explain the world around us and the events that occur. Odd notes, but maybe they have something to do with an event that happens later on. Upon entering the next area, you skip the dialogue you wrote for yourself instantly and head into the next area. In this area is a keypad with a code you need to put in. After cranking the lever, you enter into the next area where you need the flashlight once again. Creepy and frightening would be this location to you, but unlike the other areas, this danger is real. Much like most people, you turn tail and run away as fast as you can. Then slightly stall so you can make fun of the entity. After leaving that intense situation, you begin to realize maybe you can use that pickaxe for something. As the wall crumbles away just like it did in the beginning, you gain access to the outside world, some net, and a lighthouse. Not knowing what the lighthouse did, you mostly check it. This would be something for later. Upon leaving the lighthouse, if you decide to check inside, you may have an idea to use that hook and net to enter the previously unreachable window. Once entering into this room, you are met with the same voice on the phone from the previous time. repeating back to a tape recorder. Turning it off obviously ends the recording, but in the room you'll also find a key that can be used to open the blue box you've been carrying around the entire game. Maybe this blue gem has a use somewhere. Maybe it's the lighthouse? Upon reaching the lighthouse, you're finally able to see what the top floor does, but putting the gem in also spawns something else. As you leave the lighthouse, you see shadows blocking your path, and now suddenly you're trapped. Now as you ascend back into the lighthouse, the shadows follow you, forcing you closer and closer to the top floor. After shining the light on the shadow, it disappears into dust as if you killed it. Now the dream's over, and the first of the Deep Sleep Trilogy ends just like that, and now we're on to the next game, Deeper Sleep. The next game in the Deep Sleep Trilogy is Deeper Sleep, released on September 20th, 2013 by once again Scriptwelder. This game is relatively the same as Deep Sleep, but with added lore and secrets, as well as much better puzzles and challenges. On top of that, the environment is much more scary, and a little bit more fun. It's after this that the game starts. Much like the last game, you're put into a normal room, but the moment you interact with one item, this being the note, everything changes. The walls fade away, mountains appear in the back, and you're entered into the dream world once again. Placing the book in the bookcase enters you into the next room, where on the table there's some batteries, horse painting on the top, and finally a little note on the ground. Maybe this could be useful for later. Opening the door leads you to the next area, but now the same from before, but slightly altered. There's a few locked rooms, but you can't enter them just yet, so you gotta head forwards. Heading downstairs after leaving the room leads you into my favorite location of any horror game. The loud and annoying bell that does nothing at all. Heading downstairs again will give you the option to speak to a man hiding behind the bars. He's also trapped in the dream world just like you, but he'll tell you different things about the creatures in the world around you and give you a good explanation for most things you may be curious about. Listening to all his dialogues rewards you with a note piece that I didn't originally know happened. After finishing the dialogues, you can continue down the hall and eventually pick up another note piece, and then a flashlight for your batteries. This will allow you to enter a currently locked room. This time I genuinely didn't get scared. This code on the chalkboard will now let you enter a previously locked room through the keypad. If you use a gray key on the first locked door you saw when you started playing this game, you'll notice bunks for children. There's nothing really useful in this area, but there's a certain name on one of the beds that is pretty important later on. In this next room, in one of the side rooms, you can use the pointer to knock down a gold key through the grate that you can get to using the stairs. Though the gold key is not used for the gray door, it is used to get outside, and in this area it is a lot more creepier. While continuing down the forest path, you can stumble across a secondary path that leads you to a scarecrow. Touching the scarecrow gives you a thread you can use for later. While on the way, you can also pick up a lot more notes. Continuing further down the path once more, you can stumble upon another side path that leads you to a well, and near this well is another gold key. While continuing down the path even further, you can stumble upon a water wheel and a shack. Inside the shack, there's a bag you can pick up and use for later. Heading back inside, you can finally enter the room with the gray door and use that gold key you found. Heading inside rewards you with a monkey wrench that you can use for certain valves in the area. Now before you leave, you have to remember you got the code from the chalkboard and you gotta use it in the keypad. Using the flashlight in this area lets you see further down the hall and into the room you couldn't get to in the previous game. In this next room, you'll find a bunch of children's toys, a whispering child, a mirror, a tiger plush, and most importantly, a needle for repairing the bag. After returning to the first locked door you found, if you put a tiger on one of the kids' beds, specifically Cody's, you can unlock a secret for later. Upon going back outside, you can find piles of rock, mud, and rice that you can fill into the bag to open the weighted gate. Opening the weighted gate allows you access to another note and the final valve needed to turn on the water. But sadly, it's not on just yet, and you need to complete one more puzzle. This puzzle used to be very easy for me, but I guess I forgot how to do simple puzzles in my time away from this game. Anytime now. Sometime today would be very nice. God, you finally did it. Heading back now turns on the water wheel, which lets the power back on for the elevator. And if you're paying attention to the dialogue that cut out of the video, you would know what this means. Heading to the elevator gives you access to a basement and an attic, but the basement doesn't quite do anything just yet, so entering the attic is the only other option. There isn't really a lot in this room at first glance, but once you grab the screwdriver, then there is. And just like that, you leave the room and the pretty girl behind. Heading downstairs gives you access to the rope, which you can then use to enter into the well. But before leaving, you can put together all the pieces you've been collecting for the whole game and put them into one single page. I first encountered this phenomenon in the early 80s, but it would seem they have existed since the dawn of the human race. Commonly known as the night folk or shadow people, they live in the realm of dreams, but desperately want to get to our realm by possessing vulnerable and unoccupied bodies. As long as you don't know you are dreaming, you are safe. They attack when they sense a mind detached from its body, which sometimes happens during comas, but more often during OBs and lucid dreaming. The hell is an OB? After reading this note, you can finally then look for the well so you can end this game. After using the rope to enter into the well, you're greeted with a dark room, similar to the last, with something wonderful waiting for you when you escape. And just like that, the game ends on another cliffhanger. But this time, there's a secret waiting for you. A young boy wakes up from a 3-month coma. A 9-year-old boy from a local orphanage who has been in a coma since February woke up yesterday in good health. Doctors previously didn't give him much of a chance of ever regaining consciousness. The boy's first words after opening his eyes were, "My tiger has found me." That name probably doesn't mean a lot right now, but it's very important in a later script or title. The final game in the trilogy is titled The Deep Sleep and was released on August 1st, 2014 by, you guessed it, Script Welder. This is the final game of the trilogy, and there is an expected 4th game to be released later this year that I am very excited to play. Differently to the other games, there's a beginning cutscene with a jump scare I will never get used to. I rather like the introduction area to this game a lot more because not only is it a change in scenery, but it's also that first frame is just beautiful. The big cathedral location really puts in the vibes that you're small in this place, and later on it really nails that down, and I think that's awesome. This little image on the ground isn't really important in any way, but it's a nice touch in a rather darkly lit game. The bottom feeders. They live at the bottom layer of the realm of dreams, feeding upon everything that end up there. Even the shadow people fear them. They are blind but can sense vibrations and movements. By staying perfectly still, you should be safe. Whether you read the book or not, you'd see the hammer and screwdriver placed down nearby. Both are useful later on. After using the screwdriver to pry out the gem, you wouldn't know where to put it, but there's a location elsewhere that you can slide it into. But if you enter into the room on the left, you can find a note on the floor. "Hello, Bert. I'm sure this note gets to you somehow." So you followed the stupid traveler, even though you knew it was going to happen. You're at the bottom depths now. There's nothing beneath you. It is important that you avoid the bottom feeders. They sense motion, so don't make any sudden moves near them. Also, don't go to the dark church. The darkness there will suffocate you. Find a ladder. It should take you back to the surface. Sincerely, yourself. After reading the note, you are likely to head through the north entryway, find the stone, and slide the gem into the eye hole. Sans Undertale. If you are anything like me, you will forget you have a hammer and a glass bottle. Then you will be stuck confused for several minutes until you realize. For the sake of our sanities once more, I will not force you to watch my lack of brain activity. Once completing the puzzle, you are greeted with a loud room that I never stopped expecting there to be a jump scare in. I was scared out of my mind for no reason. After leaving, you can put the lever you found into the crank on the left room, which opens a gate that has a not so great surprise. This next surprise does depict suicide, so be warned. Now, just like every other time, I got confused and forgot stuff. I'm gonna skip ahead some more. A lot more. Now, this next part was the most fun for me at the time, being that it required me to make slow mouse movements, that of which I never saw as other games used. It was rather fun playing with this for a little bit. Since it did take a while to do it perfectly, I will skip ahead. That was the first time my hands were shaking when playing this game, and it was actually really fun. Next off, the room is once again similar to the previous game, that being the moment when you use the music box, it turns into a nightmare. Entering into the next room gives you an oil can and a wind-up key for the music box. Upon winding the box, the room turns into a bloody mess, figuratively and literally. Now, since the rooms have changed to this nightmarish appearance, your next goal is to find a way out, and in trying to do so, you find some stone tablets. This next location isn't really that hard, but it is fun to hurl a hammer at fragile materials. After getting the third tablet, you become confused once again and spend several more minutes looking for the last one. Upon getting the last tablet and putting them all in their places, you're encountered with the final battle with the bottom feeder. Moving slow is not an option, and you have to get out as fast as you can. After this point, it's the end of the game. There's nothing left to do but watch. Is that me? Now I remember. They've got me. All this time I've been... one of them. There he was, a traveler, just like me before. The moment he saw me, he started running. My ticket out of here, my chance to finally wake up. I just had to catch him, to possess a sleeping body, a body that I could wake up in. But did I really want to? Have I really become a monster so easily? A monster I feared so much? It was so easy. Almost too easy. I took his body away, leaving him in this chaotic world. I will wake up now, and the chaos of this place will follow me up to the surface. Alternatively, if you were like me, you would have chose to let him go. I hesitated, and I let that man go. This vicious cycle cannot continue. I will remain here forever. Here, in the deepest sleep. These were all wonderful games, much like his other titles. I've never made videos like this before, so this is my first, actual attempt at one. I loved these games when I was little, and when I finally got my first computer a few years ago, I got his most recent game immediately. I love these games, and the style in the games of the pixel art was always, like, it was my reason for getting into pixel art when I was that young. And the style is what I really love. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll check out his games, because they're all amazing. Pretty short, but they're all amazing anyway. Like the video and subscribe, as the cool YouTubers say. Hopefully I'll learn how to make videos better in my next video as I continue to do these more. Thank you, Fun Days with Fox, for supporting my Patreon. It means a lot. Really does help my current situation. Goodbye. Have a nice day.